Autumn's here. You can feel it in the air, you can feel it in the nights drawing in. You can see it in the apples ripening. Let's make some dried apple rings. Hello and welcome to English Country Life. Welcome to the orchard. Autumn's here. The nights are drawing in. Temperatures are dropping. I've got a heavy shirt on today. And the apples are coming. And the tree behind me is one of Fiona's favourites. It's a Lord Lambert. It produces a beautiful, crisp, sweet dessert apple. Really, really nice. It's good for eating. It's good for juicing. It's great as the sweet component inside it. But what it's rubbish at is as a keeper. 28 days maximum it'll probably keep after picking. And we've got hundreds of them. So yes, we'll let some fall and the chickens will enjoy them. But we need to preserve a lot of those. And we're going to make some dried apple rings today. So let's get some picked. We'll show you how we do it. Here's what I mean about the amount of fruit on these branches. These branches are bending under the weight of these apples. And if we don't get some picked and preserved, they're going to waste. Now Rachel's standing expectantly under this branch, hoping for a windfall. And we'll give her the odd one that perhaps isn't up to standard. But let's get these apples dried and preserved for the winter. We're in the kitchen. And we've got a basket full of beautiful, fresh Lord Lambourne apples. In order to dry them, we need to peel, core and chop the apples. Some people don't peel their dried apples, and that's great if you're using them as a snack. We use them for everything from apple sauce to including in porridge with cinnamon, which is gorgeous in winter, by the way. And I find if you leave the peel on, you get these sort of ribbons of weird dried apple peel in with whatever you're cooking. And it's not very appetizing, frankly. So I prefer, for flexibility, to peel before we dry. Now I've got a couple of tips and tricks that I think make life a lot easier if you're bulk processing dried apple rings. Let me show you what they are. Here's the first tip. As soon as we slice into this beautiful fresh apple, the flesh starts to oxidize, and the oxidization makes it turn brown. Now an old tip that cooks used to use was to put lemon juice in water and dip the slices of apple in that sort of lemon juice and water mix to stop the oxidization. And it was the citric acid in the lemon juice that makes that work. What we're going to use is just citric acid. We have plenty of it because I use it in everything from household cleaners to making homebrew wine. It's a tremendously useful thing to have around. So let me show you how we use that to keep our apples looking fresh and new. The process is really simple. Take a bowl of clean water, and for each litre of water that you add, put 20 grams of citric acid powder into the water and give it a good stir until it dissolves. Now, that's actually quite a strong mixture. Lemon juice is probably about 5% citric acid, and we're making this water into 2% citric acid, so it's almost sort of half and half water and lemon juice, and that can give a slightly acidic tang to your apples. We quite like that, but if you want it a bit weaker, use 10 grams of citric acid for each litre of water. It'll probably still work fine. If you don't have citric acid, just get yourself some water and put a good squeeze of lemon juice in it. That'll work every bit as well. Here's my second tip. If you've got a decent number of apple trees and you've got a lot of apples to prep, whether you're making stewed apple for freezing, whether you're drying, what have you, peeling, coring, slicing those apples becomes a chore very, very fast. To fill one of our 2 dehydrators, you have to peel, core and slice about 40 apples. If you're doing that day after day after day, it really gets old really fast. Get one of these. They're cheap and my goodness they work. They peel, core and slice an apple all in one go, much faster than you can do it with a knife. Let me show you how it works. First step in using this device is to push an apple onto the 3 prongs at the end of the screw. Just like that. Then just hold the device and turn the handle. One blade takes off the peel. The apple passes through a circular blade to cut out the core, and this at the end slices it into a tight spiral. There's the core left behind, and we've got a spiral apple. So we've got this apple and it's a spiral. To turn it into rings, we just take a sharp knife and cut only to the middle hole, all the way down the length of the apple. And that severs the spiral, so that what you get is ring after ring after ring. We just pop those rings into our citric acid and water now. And we drop those rings into our citric acid and water, give them a good swirl around, and that should help to prevent them turning brown. I'm keeping the peels and cores from these apples in a clean bucket. The reason for that is most of the pectin found in apples, pectin being the material we need to set jam, is found in the peel and cores. So what I've got in this bucket is the ingredients for homemade pectin. If you'd like to see a video on how to make your own pectin, just leave us a comment. Your rings don't need long in the citric acid solution. I generally find 30 seconds to a minute is plenty, but in reality what I do is I fill the bowl. When the bowl's full, I lay up my rings on the sheet. It's very useful to keep track of how many of these bowls it takes to fill your dehydrator and how many apples that is. Then you know how many apples to pick and when to stop peeling, etc., because your dehydrator is going to be full after this bowl. 3 of those big bowls of apple rings fills this dehydrator, which is about a square metre of drying space. That equates to 30 large apples, bit more for small and medium apples. I'll put them on at 60 centigrade, and we like them dried to a crisp almost, so that they last a long time. And for that, I'll put them on for 24 hours immediately, maybe a little bit longer, subject to how quickly they dry and how ripe and damp the apples are. If you want more of a sort of leathery snack consistency, start with a bit less time and just see how they go till you get to consistency that you like. Now there's a family controversy. Fiona likes to dry the apples in segments, so she cuts each of the rings into quarters, dries them that way. She believes, and I think she's right, you get more in a tray, you get more in a jar by doing it that way. But I like rings, so I dry them as rings. One other thing, it'd be fun to show you. These rings. We know I dried them because they're rings. I dried those in 2017, and in an airtight jar. They've sat on a shelf for 2 years and they're as good as the day we dried them and ready for use. This jar actually came from the back of a shelf where I didn't do my rotation properly. But look at them, absolutely nothing wrong with those. That's brilliant, and I like that. It's not consuming electricity, it's just sat on the shelf, beautifully preserved. This kind of content is interesting. Can you give us a thumbs up down below? Just take 5 seconds. If you can leave us a comment, that's even better. We are going to do some more preserving. And if you want to see those videos, click the subscribe button down there and hit the bell next to it, and you'll hear every time we upload a new video. Whatever you do. Come back and see us soon. Take care.